podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion, and to my highlights of 2025. It has been a podcasting year bookended by 2 Ashes defeats down under, but as ever, packed with stories, characters and inspiration from the worlds of horse racing and cricket. In this highlights episode, you will hear clips spanning horse racing and cricket, plus one from my What Was It Like To series featuring snooker. I begin in mid-January with episode 314, when I was joined by Sam Martin, a rising young horse racing journalist. Sam recalled her time working alongside Bruff Scott at the 2024 Cheltenham Festival. Yeah, what was it like working with Bruff? I mean, he's been in the industry so long.
He's incredible. He's so willing to answer questions and advise me of things and listen to what I have to say, and kind of seeing he has such an active mind, and he's so passionate about racing, and the way that he puts things into words is just incredible. And the way he crafts an article and everything, and it's I'm just completely in awe of him. My granddad was a massive fan of Bruff's, and he would be absolutely losing his mind to know that I was literally working alongside Bruff in a press room. So it's incredible. It's been very much a pinch me moment. I'm so grateful to Bruff and to Rob Wright for taking a chance on me, and hopefully I'm not letting them down.
I'm sure you're not doing that. I was so impressed when he came on the Paddock and the Pavilion for my 250th episode. He was so well prepared.
That's the thing. He's incredible. He's like encyclopedic knowledge of racing and of the stories. It's incredible. Such funny. He's just a very funny person when he tells a story, and he's fantastic.
Sam will be back on the show very soon. With the Ashes in mind, my next guest is author David Tossell, who joined me in episode 323 to discuss his award-nominated book, Blood on the Tracks. The book tells the gripping story of England's traumatic 1974-75 Ashes series in Australia. As the sleeve on your book reveals, Wisden said that never in the 98 years of Test cricket have batsmen been so grievously bruised and battered.
And I think that was true. The nature of it was different. Obviously, there'd been fast bowlers before. Body line had happened. Body line was a specific tactic, if you like, designed to combat one particular batsman, Don Bradman, and England obviously used it against all of the Australian batsmen. But there was a kind of a method to it, if you like, and there was a certain pragmatism about it, and it had a specific aim. This seemed a little bit more Wild West, if you like, in its nature. It was Thomson and Lilly terrorizing batsmen in a way that they'd openly spoken about before the series. Both of them had made comments about not being frightened about hitting batsmen and enjoying hitting batsmen, and if they couldn't get batsmen out, they were quite happy to hit them. And that was it was a harder edge to anything we'd seen before, and it just meant the cricket was of a slightly different nature, had a different personality. And a lot of players who the English batsmen who played in that series felt that they felt the personality of Test cricket changed after that. West Indies went out a year later, and Clive Lloyd's team lost 5-1. Thomson and Lilly, in harness again, but being as equally dangerous as they had been in this series for the last time, as it turned out. And it made Clive Lloyd go away and realise that, fast bowling was the way to go for him. He not only did he have, 2 bowlers, like he had a whole battery of people that could bowl like that. So he took it to the next degree, if you like, and ended up with 4 fast bowlers. But if it hadn't been for Thomson and Lilly, maybe it would have taken him longer to come to that conclusion. The other thing that this Test series did, and that I think you certainly can make the case for it having changed the course of cricket, was it was the first time the Australian players themselves really, I think, got a sense of what they were worth. They saw massive crowds coming in, and they saw how little they were getting paid. There was a famous quote from one of the players that the guy who was operating the scoreboard at Sydney was getting paid more than Dennis Lilly was. And it was the first time they really realised that they had a commercial value. So when Kerry Packer came along a couple of years later and wanting to get TV rights and not getting them, and therefore deciding to take on the Australian authorities and set up his own series, the Australian players there were ripe for the picking because they realised how badly they were being paid, and they realised how much better they could be treated by someone like Kerry Packer. So for various reasons, I think you can say that the nature of cricket changed after this series, and I think it wouldn't have done if it hadn't been for the presence of Thomson and Lilly.
Guest number 3 is Shirley Anderson-Jolag, who in late 2024 became the first female bloodstock auctioneer in Britain at Park Paddock's Tattersalls. Shirley joined me in episode 326 to reflect on that historic day at Newmarket.
And then all of a sudden, like 2 or 3 lots before mine, the whole place just started like filling, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is even worse now. But then it was lovely because I looked around and it was so many people who had become friends over the years, clients who are very good friends now, and just lots of smiley, happy people. And that was it. And then the rest literally was history. So yeah, it was really lovely. It's something I'll bottle up and I'll keep forever. It's such a nice feeling. But yeah.
So word got round amongst the press then, yeah.
It had, yeah. And then I on top of that, I never got to meet them properly, but a bus, like a coach load of college schoolgirls came too, because I remember as the auditorium was filling up, there was just the top in the gods was filling up with students, and I was thinking, and Edmund turned around to me, he's like, who are they? And yeah, it turns out it was a college group that had come and heard it was happening too. So it was really, really lovely. I love this industry because, all year round, when somebody, needs a bit of support, people do get in together and really do want to help. And it was, you could just, as cliche as that sounds, you feel the love in the room. It was really lovely. Yeah.
And you began with lot 211. That must be in your head, number 211.
Oh, yeah. I'll never forget the You Better Believe It filly out of a mare called Totes Emosh, which seems quite apt for how emotional I probably was after I finished. And I actually I will go and see her, because the lovely lady, Helen Smith, who purchased her, she's for a syndicate of women, I believe. And I potentially may even take a share in her. You never know. So it's looking highly likely. So I feel like of all the horses I would have in training, that feels like one that I should definitely have a little share in anyway.
Yeah, sounds a good idea. You're on for 20 minutes, I think. Is that right?
Yeah. And obviously there was the round of applause, which I had after the first one, which I wasn't really expecting. But yeah, on for 20 minutes, and then came off, and that was it. I was now on the roster selling. So yeah, really, really fantastic.
And the moment you came off, then you were interviewed immediately. You came out the door.
Yeah, I wasn't really that hadn't been planned with me anyway. And yeah, it would be very, very unusual for me to be speechless. I could talk for England probably, and surrounding countries. And yeah, when I came off, it was a strange feeling, because I was so emotional beforehand, and then all of a sudden, I don't really tend to show too much emotion here. I try not to be very professional, and then I probably couldn't keep it in. I tried very hard to bottle it up, but yeah, I think a few little tears did come out during the interview, which I'm still slightly mortified at, but hey, there we are. But Ali was very kind afterwards. She's like, I'm sorry, but I had to. So yeah, it's I still sometimes it still gets shared now, and I cringe watching the interviews, but yeah, I wouldn't change any of it, to be honest.
I found that one easily on the computer.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah.
And you're in lots of the newspapers, big feature in the Racing Post.
Yeah, I was just saying, somebody sent a picture through this morning of, I think it's the diary, the Bloodstock News diary. So I've made it on front of that. I was like, people are genuinely going to be sick at the sight of this face by the seeing it for the last few months. But yeah, no, again, press were amazing.
She will never forget lot 211, but did she manage to get a share in the filly? Staying with horse racing, two of the sport's biggest festivals, Cheltenham and Aintree, brought two unforgettable guests in March and April. First, I was delighted to be joined by Aidan O'Brien, arguably the world's most famous trainer. I took Aidan back 25 years as he reflected on guiding Isterbrack to 3 successive champion hurdle victories in 1998, 1999 and 2000. You've trained so many famous racehorses, Galileo, Giant's Causeway, Yates, City of Troy. How does Isterbrack rate amongst them?
Yes, we always said Isterbrack was the special one. He was our first great horse, and by having him and training him, we learned a lot. What way to handle a good horse and to handle a horse that with different personalities and that, So he was, and I think, like you said, that people, kind of everybody just got behind him, and like a lot of jockeys riding now and trainers, and when they were growing up, like Isterbrack was absolutely their hero. And it's only when you see people that are in racing at their prime now and jockeys, and I often heard Paul Townsend and all those kind of fellas talking about him, and they were only kids at the time. He really had an incredible following, and an incredible following amongst kids, I think, as well at the time, as well as adults, So it was just a special, different time, really.
And 25 years on, do you miss that roar at Cheltenham?
Yeah, no, Shilleson's incredible. Like, obviously, we don't have runners there anymore. Joseph has, and we get a great pleasure and really look forward to watching it. But it is an incredible place, and the way Cheltenham has built, and the crowds and everything around it, I think it's an absolute credit to everyone in charge of Cheltenham, the course and the media and I think the hospitality to everyone. It's just becoming just an incredible occasion, really. And I know it always was, but I think it's just got bigger and bigger. And anybody in national hunt racing, and probably a lot of people in all types of racing, just ever want to have a runner and to be there and to witness it and feel it. And incredible, really. Can
you believe it's 25 years ago now since he last won it?
No, I can't. When you said 25 years, I was wondering.
You were very young then.
Oh, listen, anyway, there we go. It's a long time ago, and it's listen, there we go. Sure, we were, and I was. I suppose we were very busy and at the time, and every day just flew by, and you just kept going and didn't think too much about it. But like you said, we were very young, and we were very lucky to have some unbelievable special people working for us, and unbelievable facilities for some unbelievable people, really. And a lot of those people are still around and have horses in training and working and doing all the types of things. Like I said, Pat was travelling head man at the time, and he's still travelling all our main horses all over the world. So it's incredible, really.
You may also recall that Aidan's son Joseph joined me previously in my What Was It Like To series to talk about winning the Derby. I also enjoy a great sporting story, and former leading national hunt jockey TomScudamore shared a brilliant one in episode 333 about his father Peter Scudamore, the 8-time champion national hunt jockey, and his ride in the 1988 Grand National.
My first memory of the Grand National is going up to watch Dad in it in 1988. I remember going up. I mean, I can remember bits and pieces of watching the National at home, but yeah, the first National I remember going to was to watch Dad fall on Strands of Gold, which basically, was yet another in the litany of Grand National disappointments. Scudamore's riding in it since 1959.
Yes, I was reading that in the book about the three of you, Three of a Kind by Chris Cook. It's a good story, the Strands of Gold one, isn't it?
Yeah, I went and told Dad what he did wrong. So Dad was about 5 or 6 lengths clear, going very well when he fell at Beach a second time round. And I thought that would be a good time to go and tell him what he did wrong, which made him chuckle, which lightened what was a pretty dark day for him. I think it cheered him up a little bit. Everybody else was trying to avoid him and leave him to his own device. I went and marched up and told him that he should have been holding on to the mane. If he was holding on to the mane, he wouldn't have fallen, because that's what he'd been teaching me on my pony. up until that point. And I thought that was the time to go and inform him that he wasn't quite practicing what he preached.
Remind listeners how old you were on that day.
5.
Ahead of the World Snooker Championship in April, I was joined by former top 10 player and now commentator Neal Foulds. A big horse racing and cricket fan, Neal entertained me with stories from snooker's golden era, particularly his memories of one of sport's most famous and colourful characters, Alex Hurricane Higgins. Going back to you, you turned professional in 1983, and in your first year you qualified for the final stages of the World Championships, and you played the probably the most famous character of all those years in Alex Hurricane Higgins in the first round of the final stages.
Yeah, I know.
Defending champion as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I played 3 qualifying matches for that, and then I played Alex again. I'd known Alex. It wasn't meeting Alex was not that wasn't anything new to me. I'd been to the Crucible before in 1979 to watch Terry Griffiths play and John Virgo play the year that Terry won it. But yes, I mean, Alex was quite an intimidating figure, but I did know him a little bit, and he knew me. And yes, I didn't. It was a good draw for me, actually, thinking about it on my debut, because I didn't feel under any real pressure. And I remember being 5-4 overnight, and the next morning, the 2 sessions were really close together. It was the evening session, and then back the very next morning, which probably suited me better than Alex, actually, thinking about it. He might not have been up so early. And then I got the job done, beat him 10-9. It was all live. And when you look back on it now, the most interesting thing about that match is that afterwards, the presenter it goes to, and it's because David Icke, he was the presenter back then for the BBC, and then he comes on the screen and says, "What an incredible shot! The unknown Neal Foulds beats the great Alex Higgins." And so there's a lot to unpick from that, really, isn't there?
There certainly is there, isn't there? Just about Higgins, what was it like playing against him? Because I mean, I was a big Higgins fan myself. Yeah. Everyone was on his side, weren't they? They seemed to be.
Well, there were a lot. There was a lot more on his side than mine. Put it that way. But I think because I was new, I thought the crowd were very kind to me. They didn't want to. It wasn't when like the time Alex played Steve at the Masters, where Steve got booed only because he was just a good player. I think because I was a youngster then. I was 20 years of age. I think I had my share of support, but nothing along the lines, of what Alex had. And then, having won that match, I was getting fan mail. Some people were saying, "Oh, you've ruined my championship." Others said, "Well, I didn't really like Alex anyway that much, so well done." And an old lady sent me some money, £5 as a present in a card, but in general, everyone loved Alex except for just the few that didn't take to him. But it was what got me started, to play Alex that year and beat him. And I lost in the next round to Doug Mountjoy, but that one match, when I did lots of exhibition work with Alex after that, I was picking up, this sort of second prize in the exhibition fees, just going around the country playing matches with Alex, really, almost as a spin-off to playing that game.
Could you see for all the smoke in the background?
Well, it's strange because Alex that year commentated for the BBC after I'd beaten him. I've told this story before, but and my next match I'm playing, and Alex is in the commentary box, and all you could see in the commentary box, he was smoking in there. And basically, I can't remember who his co-commentator was, but it was like something out of the Hound of the Baskervilles. There was this sort of cloud of smoke, and then, of course, he'd opened the commentary box door, and all this smoke would plume out, and there was no sort of no smoking regulations then. So it was one thing sitting next to him, but to be in that commentary box with him once he got knocked out probably was quite damaging to your health.
It's time for some cricket. The Paddock and the Pavilion is a proud supporter of women's cricket, and 2025 saw the launch of an exciting new competition, the Women's T20 County Cup. Alongside following my home county, Cambridgeshire, where I spoke to their head coach, Lee Smith, in episodes 339 and 340, I also caught up with the tournament-winning Lancashire captain, Ellie Threlcold, in episode 347. Looking at the competition as a whole, a successful first year?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a great concept, and the girls were calling it the FA Cup because it had that sort of feel to it, and yeah, it was great. It's great to play some different teams, and knockout cricket's always fun. So yeah, it was really like enjoyable to be a part of, and it was quite a short, sharp competition, but for us to win a trophy like that so early on in the season as well, it was a real like boost for us, and I know all the girls really enjoyed being a part of it. So I'd say it was very successful, and you can see it growing year on year. So yeah, it's a brilliant concept.
It certainly takes women's cricket all around the country, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and like we spoke about before, it gives like tier 2 teams that opportunity to compete with tier 1 teams, and like jokes aside, like this is exactly the same what happens in the FA Cup, isn't it? You see some upsets, you see people talk about that FA Cup magic, and yeah, I feel like that's very much the same in this competition, really. And I think as cricketers, we just want to play as much as possible, really. So it gives us an extra competition to be a part of, more cricket, another trophy to win. So yeah, it's great, and the shorter format of the game is becoming the forefront of women's cricket. So to get even more exposure and experience in that area was great, and I think to have that comp before the Blast as well is great preparation for us. So yeah, competition was brilliant.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
England hosted India in a 5-test series last summer, and in episode 360, titled A Series of Missed Opportunities, my resident cricket expert Roland Butcher gave his thoughts as he reviewed the series. Roland, the former England international, joined me throughout the year to discuss red and white ball cricket and the wider state of the global game. Here are his final reflections on that England versus India series. Just to remind listeners that you went for 3-2 in the England-India series, so you weren't too far out.
No, really, listen, going towards the end of that last test match, really, I saw a 3-1 really for England. They would really decide that they've thrown that test match away, really. As you said, 35 runs, 4 wickets in the hand to win the series 3-1. That was disappointing. Yeah, I went 3-2 because I felt both teams would win test matches, and I thought one team would win 3, which that 4th test could easily have gone that way as well. Had England won that test, they would have been 3-1 up. I'm pretty sure India would have won the last test. And I would have won the money, 3-2. But I think I'll take the 2-2. I wasn't far off.
But as you said in the last podcast, the spectators and the game were the winner.
Yeah, they were. They saw a feast of runs, from both sides, at a good pace as well. The weather was fantastic. Every test match went into the 5th day. At the end of the day, the spectators really had value for money. And I think both England and India spectators, they would have gone away smiling. Either of them didn't lose the series. So they would say overall, yeah, I really enjoyed that. And the outcome was, we live with that.
Yeah, 2-2 seems to be the scoreline. England's last 2 home series against Australia have been 2-2, and now the last 2 against India have been 2-2.
Yeah, I mean that's I would not be too happy with that, because drawing series at home is not great. I mean, if a draw away from home, that's fantastic. Home draws, I'm afraid, sorry, don't cut it with me. You either win at home or you get beaten by a better side. But at home you should be that should be your castle. You should be the king of the castle at home. England has said last 2 series they haven't lost, but they have not been the king at home.
In August, I had the pleasure of speaking with Bobby Beevers, founder of Autism in Racing. Bobby explained why he set up the organisation and how it supports autistic people to enjoy racing, whether as spectators or as part of the workforce. I also visited Newmarket to see the work Jane Buick is doing around autism-friendly race days. And it's fantastic to hear that the Jockey Club plans to stage at least one autism-friendly race day at each of its courses in 2026. Let's hear from Bobby.
Autism, in terms of diagnosis, it's going up all the time. And I think the reason why is because a lot of adults, and I'm one of these adults, by the way, who are getting diagnosed later on in life, because people are saying that, when they was at school and in education, the awareness wasn't there at the time, and it was very different to what it is now, really. So the diagnosis is going up all the time. Adults are getting diagnosed with autism. Obviously, the awareness is much more better now within education, so it's being recognised by teachers, etc., etc. Really, what is a bit of a frightening stat, though, is that under 30% of autistic individuals are in some kind of work, whether that be full-time, part-time, or freelancing, whatever that may be, which is quite a frightening stat, really, to be fair. So I'm kind of hoping that the mentoring program can definitely help with that. Obviously, we need to be realistic. It's not going to increase that percentage, to like 40, 50, 60%, even though we'd love it to. It would be absolutely brilliant if that could happen. But I do think we can play a part in increasing that percentage. And with the more people that are coming to us saying, look, I'm autistic and I'd love to do this within racing, it's up to us to support that and make that happen. But I do believe that, autism racing can contribute to that national statistic, definitely get the percentage up. And hopefully we can, work with people continuously, indefinitely as well, and help people find the work.
That must then be one of the key aims of Autism in Racing.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot of aspects to autism racing. I've always said this. One is the autism friendly days. That's at race courses. It's trainers' yards as well when we do the visits to the stables, etc. We've partnered up this year with National Stud, so we'll be heading to National Stud for an autism friendly day out there as well. We're doing a couple during the 6 weeks holidays during the summer period, if you like. So obviously the autism friendly days are a key aspect to autism racing. One is employment. I've said that from the start. I've already mentioned it in the podcast now, and there's plans for employment. And then the other one is education and awareness. This is done through workshops that we like to do for different groups and organisations and race courses, etc. So the three main aspects for autism racing are autism friendly days, it's employment and education.
Australian trainer Henry Dwyer has been a hugely popular and regular guest over the past 2 summers, and I am very grateful for his help and insight. In this short clip from episode 362, Henry talks about his mare Asfoora and her Group 1 victory in the Nunthorpe Stakes at York. Friday, August the 22nd at York must be a very special day now for yourself and Henry Dwyer Racing.
Yeah, absolutely. When she won at York, it was, I suppose, excitement blended with a little bit of a relief. Obviously, she hadn't won a race this year, and she really needs to win a. If we're going to do the travel and the rest of it, it's an expensive operation, and she needs to be winning a race to sort of make it worthwhile. So her winning there and showing that she's still got it. There was a little bit of doubt in certain quarters that she'd come back as well, but we were confident she really had, but just hadn't had the right circumstance yet. So she got that at York, and everything went to plan, and she won really well.
You always said York and the Nunthorpe was the race for her.
As it turned out this year, it was just because of timing. Obviously, Ascot was the race for her last year because we had a lead-up run and we were in the country for plenty of time leading up to it, and she'd acclimatised. Whereas this year, she just didn't have that opportunity, and we were fresh off the plane into Ascot, and she wasn't ready for it. But we had to run, and then had a break in the paddock trying to get her ready for Goodwood and York, and that really brought her on and helped her put on some weight and further acclimatise to the heat. Like she came out of Ballarat and it was -4 degrees the morning she left, and she was suddenly thrust into 32, 33 degree conditions over the week of Ascot, and it was just all a bit rushed and a bit much for her. So 2 weeks in the paddock allowed her to acclimatise a bit better, and then good lead up to Goodwood, and we thought we had her ready enough to go for Goodwood, albeit with some improvement, but yeah, just got that rain the day before which thwarted her chances, and yeah, York didn't have such issues and she ran really well.
She got the perfect run then at York. You were following Knight Raider.
Yeah, well, he's a good lead sort of horse. He goes quick and generally gives a good kick, and which he did, and allowed us to get out in time. So yeah, look, it was just an easy watch really the whole way. And
Henry and Asfoora have provided some memorable moments in European racing, including a famous Royal Ascot win in 2024. And fingers crossed, they will be back in 2026 to chase more top sprinting honours. The 100 took centre stage in August. Rosa Simkin of Rosa Talks Ball previewed the tournament and later analysed the competition alongside Chloe Hill in episode 363. They took a close look at the women's competition and both correctly tipped the eventual winners, Northern Superchargers. Here are Rosa's thoughts on this year's 100.
And I think for me, probably the highlight was once again the crowds this summer. I believe that we surpassed a total of 1.5 million people attending women's games at the 100. I saw many records broken attendance-wise, and it just feels like the buzz around women's cricket keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yes, there was records set at quite a few grounds as well, weren't there?
There were, and it just shows that people want to keep turning up. Women's cricket is becoming a bit of a movement, and we're starting to see other areas of the women's game benefit from the crowds at the 100, which is really promising and very exciting.
Plus the fact in the 2025 100, both you and Chloe predicted the winning team, and in episode 354, I played it again to myself today, and you were super excited about the Northern Superchargers.
Oh, the Northern Superchargers. It's been what a summer for them. There was just something about their squad and the combination of that overseas excellence in those Aussies, combined with those kind of experienced domestic players in your Kate Crosses, and then you've got that young talent as well. It was just a match made in heaven.
In September, the master of suspense and intrigue, Felix Francis, returned to the show to discuss his latest racing thriller, Dark Horse. And if you have not picked up a copy yet, here is a brief synopsis from the man himself.
Well, the first part of it is Imogen Duffy. She's a young, certainly up and coming jump jockey. And she's Irish, and the book starts at Cheltenham. She's picked up a spare ride due to an injury of another jockey in the champion chase, and lo and behold, she does rather well in it, and it is so that puts her on the map a bit. But the story revolves around the fact that she has a controlling and coercive boyfriend who's also an Irish jockey, who gets very jealous of her success, and she's broken it off with him, and he says to her that he'd rather kill her than let her leave him. So a lot of it is about coercive control and the what happens after a breakup of a relationship. Imogen gets an offer of a job in England, so comes over from England and works in the top stable in Lambourne, and then to her horror she finds that her ex-boyfriend Liam Carson has followed her over and is working just down the road, and Liam sets out to extract revenge for leaving him both on and off the track by trying to put her across the rail and through the wing of a fence. And anyway, Imogen is living a life in fear, and she does what she can to try and get away from him. And then her father, in desperation, goes to Sid Halley and asks for his help in the second part of the book. And the second part of the book is Sid trying to work out what the hell's going on, which involves a trial. So Sid spends his time in the courtroom with the barristers, setting out arguments and trying to get a result which everyone is happy with. Well, certainly which he's happy with.
Felix is already hard at work on his next novel, and I am hopeful he will be back on the show in 2026. One of my most inspiring stories of 2025 came in October, where I was joined by Kubus Olivier and Olena Kravchenko, who are coaching children cricket in war-torn Ukraine. Across a powerful two-part series, they spoke about the challenges of coaching in Kyiv and their remarkable UK cricket tour. Here is Kubus talking about the tour and their time at rugby school alongside former Warwickshire captain Michael Powell.
On this tour, I know these kids, I haven't seen them laughing like this. I told Michael last night, they were in the dining room and me and Michael stood outside having a chat, and they were fooling around and laughing and pushing each other. And I said to Michael, for you, this is normal. This is how kids behave. You see that every day in Cotton House. I haven't seen that in Ukraine. These kids don't do that in Ukraine. They're much more subdued. They're checking phones. They're nervous. And to see this is, for me, the reward of this tour. Even if it's only for 1 week, they had escaped from the reality of the war for 1 week. They had fun. They could be normal young kids of their age, young teenagers having fun with each other, laughing. And for me, that is what this tour was all about. And this has made me more determined than ever to continue. You said you hope you see us again. You will see us. We will bring kids here to rugby school again to experience this. The more kids we can bring to have this experience, because this is so much more than just cricket. It goes way beyond cricket. Sorry, I know going long, but I have to say this. I said to I was talking to Michael that in summer especially, there's cricket teams coming to rugby school from all over the world. South Africa, Australia, they've all been here. They come here to play sport, to play cricket, rugby. But this tour is unique. This goes way behind rugby, cricket, sport. This is about the humanitarian side of bringing some joy and some happiness to these kids who is living in a war zone. Ukraine is a war zone. So this is unique. And it's been an unbelievable, rewarding experience for me to see this. It's just been unbelievable. And I know Olena shares this with me. For her, it's even more so, because she is Ukrainian. She's feeling this war much more closer than I do. So I know we spoke a lot about it. For her, she's here because of the kids. She loves cricket. She enjoys it now. I think she's really hooked on cricket now after Lords. But for Olena, told me from the first day, I'll come and try this new sport. She heard about cricket. But if I can help the children, if it's all about the children for Olena, she loves children. So this is what this tour is all about. And it's been a humbling experience, to say the least, to get the kindness from people like you, Michael, and the chef here. Everybody has just been so kind to us. The staff at rugby has opened their hearts to these children.
It is stories like this that I hope make the Paddock and the Pavilion special. Roland Butcher, my second ever guest on the podcast, returned in episode 375 to share his thoughts on the winter's much anticipated Ashes series.
Listen, I think the bowlers, from an England perspective, they will rely heavily on their bowling attack because Australia have batters who have proven that they can score big runs in Australia. So that creates lots of pressure on the bowlers. So really, England bowling has got to be at its best if they want to stay in the series because, Australia usually you can be 5-6 down, but somebody down the bottom order always finds a way of pulling them out of trouble. So the pressure really is going to be on England bowlers to deliver. The batters are going to have to deliver as well because, they're not going to get an easy ride. But if the bowlers have delivered first, that would make it a little bit easier for the batters. So really the burden is on the bowlers for sure.
You said in our last podcast that England needed to be more ruthless than they were in the summer against India to have a chance of winning in Australia. And you gave England a 6 out of 10 mark in the summer. And you said we needed to be 8+ to win a series in Australia.
Yeah, and I stick to that. I think England were quite sloppy during the series against India. I mean, and I said India was sloppy too. As a result of the sloppiness, it made for a very good series that ended 2-2. But when both teams reflect on the series, they will realize that, the throwaway games when they had it won, both sides. Cannot do that in Australia. If you do that in Australia, they will take advantage and capitalize on that, and you could find yourself losing 4-1. That would be a disaster. So England they've got to be 8 out of 10 minimum to stay in the game, and that requires everything to go right in that series. Your tactics have got to be right. Your bowling has got to be spot on. Your batting's got to be spot on. Your catching has got to be spot on. And as I said, if you can get all of those things right, it doesn't guarantee you'll win the series. But what it will do is it will guarantee that you stay in the series because this is a strong team you're playing against. And the Ashes series brings out the best in them. It should bring out the best in England players as well. I think it will. I'm looking forward to the series because I really want to see whether this England team, has the stomach for the fight, because that's what's going to be. It's going to be a real battle, not just technically. It's going to be a physical battle. It's going to be a mental battle. For a lot of these players, it's perhaps going to be the hardest series that they've ever played in. So really, everything to play for. Can they put in that sort of performance? I believe yes, they can, but there's a lot that has to happen to make sure that. I'm still a bit concerned about the bowlers in that they just, for me, haven't had enough work for a journey like this. I mean, this is like climbing Mount Everest with, and all you've done is a couple of walks on flat ground. That's not going to work. So they're going to have to perform. The bowlers are going to have to perform like superhumans. If they can do that, then, they're in the game. But anything short of that, and it could be quite difficult.
Some wise words from Roland, who will be back later this month to review the series in full. Thanks to Jim Major and Northampton Cricket Club, I was able to host a live podcast in late October when Roland joined me to discuss his new autobiography, breaking barriers, Barbados to England and back. And that brings me to the end of my look back at 2025. I hope you have enjoyed these inspiring stories from my two great sporting loves, horse racing and cricket. I have plenty more exciting content lined up for 2026, including a Women's T20 World Cup hosted in England. Stay tuned to the show, available on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and on our YouTube channel. Later this year, I will be launching a newsletter to keep you fully up to date with everything happening at the Paddock and the Pavilion. A happy new year to you all, and thanks as always for listening.